Stage 8. The Ogre's Dinner. Lee was staying at Keeper's house for the night. I wonder if the magic key while you're here, said Keeper. Me too, said Lee, who had never been on an adventure. The boys went into Biff's room to check on the key. I'll let you know if it starts crying, Biff told them. Don't you want to play a board game until then? Keeper asked her. No thanks, said Biff. I'm at an exciting bit of my book. The heroes are running away from some hungry ogres. Lee looked at the book's cover. What are ogres? He asked. Terrible monsters. Hungry monsters, said Biff. The boys went into Keeper's room after he put his sleeping bag on the floor. Lee peeked in the wardrobe. What are you doing? asked Keeper. Just checking, admitted Lee. For monsters. There was a sound of footsteps coming down the hall. What's that? He asked Lee. He was a bit jumpy now. He had started to think about monsters. The door opened. It was Biff. Come quickly, she said. The key just started to glow. Keeper jumped up. Lee followed sorry. He felt a bit nervous. What if the key took them somewhere scary? Lee watched Biff pick up the glowing key. What happens now? He asked. Before Biff or Keeper could answer, the magic began to take them away on an adventure. The magic took them to a deep, dark forest, a very ruined house, and made them shiver. What now? Lee asked. Biff stalled. We'll soon find out why the key brought us here. Suddenly there was a booming noise. It's an earthquake, cried Keeper. No, said Biff. Those are footsteps, and they're getting closer. Lee's eyes opened wide. If those are footsteps, some big feet were making them. A huge head approached above them. A monster, shouted Lee. I am not a monster, I am an ogre. The ogre sniffed. He looked the children up and down, and you three looked like strangers. The ogre showed his enormous teeth in his wide grin. The king of the ogres loves strangers, he said. He'll want to have you for dinner. Follow me. He showed towards the enormity of a cave. How about for dinner? Lee in nervous. No thanks. Run, shouted Biff. Lee shoved up crowd and followed Biff towards the trees as fast as his legs were taken. Then he finally stopped. Lee's heart was pounding. Biff was by his side, but where was Keeper? Oh no, he must have tripped and fallen, said Biff. We have to go and find him. They crept back towards the cave, keeping a careful eye out the hallway. That ogre is big and scary, said Lee. I bet the king of the ogres is even bigger and scarier. Don't worry, Lee, said Biff. As soon as we find Keeper, the key will take us home again. They peeked out just in time to see the ogre drag into the cave with Keeper. We'll have to go inside to rescue him, said Biff. I don't like this adventure much, said Lee miserably. Suddenly two more ogres stepped out of the cave. The children knocked down as The ogre stepped past. "Where are those children?" asked the one ogre. "The king of the ogres wants to cook with them." "Cook with us," whispered Lee. "I don't like the sound of that." "Me neither," said Biff crossly. "We are not vegetables, and neither is Keeper. We'll have to go and rescue him." Lee and Biff tapped into the enormous of the cave. "Oh no," groaned Biff. "There are lots of tunnels. How we will ever find Keeper in here?" Suddenly they heard a shout. "There they are!" cried gruff voice. "They are going into the cave." "Run!" shouted Biff. They couldn't run back outside because the two ogres were coming, so Lee ran into one of the enormous tunnels. He followed it towards and turns deeper and deeper under the mud. Finally, Lee stopped. "Is that far enough, Biff?" he asked. There was no answer. "Biff?" "Oh no." When they were running, Biff must have gone down a different tunnel. Now Lee was all alone in the dark. It wasn't alone for long. He could hear gruff voices and heavy footsteps approaching. "Should I run?" thought Lee. "Where to?" He looked around and up place and saw a big rock. He ducked down behind it just before the two ogres from outside stepped by. "Where is that third child?" asked one ogre. "The king is making shepherd's pie tonight." "Oh no," thought Lee. "They're making shepherd's pie, but they're using Keeper and Biff instead of shepherds." Then, when the ogre had gone, Lee jumped up. "That doesn't," he said to himself. "I will not let my friends be made into the pie." He set off in the direction the ogre had gone. Finally, he saw flashing glow across the next tunnel. He could hear pans and pots and pans being used. This must be the kitchen, Lee thought. He tapped forth. He jumped out into the light of the kitchen and grabbed the nearest thing to hand. It was a frying pan. He waved it around and shouted, "Keeper, Biff, I'm here to rescue you." "Hi, Lee," said Keeper. "Where have you been?" He was getting cheese and big peeled potatoes. Lee was confused. "I thought the king of the ogres was cooking with you," he said. "I am cooking with them," a little ogre with oven gloves and a crown. "It's just fun cooking with new friends." "Don't worry, Lee," said Biff. We got the wrong end of the stick earlier. It was all misunderstanding." Lee lowered the frying pan. "But I thought the king wants to have us for dinner," he said. I do," declared the king. "I love having guests for dinner. Tonight we're having shepherd's pie." There was a loud cheer from the other ogres. Shepherd's pie was their favorite. "So there was no shepherds in the shepherd's pie?" asked Lee. "Oh, of course not," said the king. "There's no meat at all. We're strict vegetarians, you know." Lee realized that he was hungry too. "It does smell delicious," he said. When the food was ready, the three children had to stand on the chairs to reach the table. "So how did you like your first adventure?" Biff asked Lee. "I didn't like it at all to begin with," explained Lee. "I was cold and frightened and all alone." But now I love it, Lee continued, and all that running around has given me a monster appetite. They all began to talk in before the key told them it was time to go home. The end.
야,